In the shadows of the stars, civilizations hide secrets that can undo empires. The void of space stretched endless and merciless, a canvas of black pierced only by distant suns. Amid that emptiness floated the proud, cold, and perfect worlds of the Imperium. But even they were not as flawless as they seemed. For somewhere, hidden among the stars, existed the Interex, a civilization untouched by imperial rule, guarding secrets older than the Emperor himself. Horus Rising, the War Master, stood upon the command bridge of his flagship, eyes scanning the galactic map as ships glimmered in orbital light. Around him, his lieutenants waited, loyal and unquestioning. But loyalty alone could not guide him through what he was about to encounter. The whispers of the Interex, their isolation, their unwavering intelligence, carried an aura of mystery that even Horus could not ignore. Uncharted, unknown, untouched, murmured Erebus, standing behind the War Master, a shadow among shadows. And yet they watch. They understand more than any legion you command. Horus's jaw tightened. He had faced alien species, traitorous worlds, and insurrections. Yet something about the Interex disturbed even him. Their perfection was not in their weapons, nor in their fleets, nor in their fortresses. It was in the mind. Every decision, every action, every structure reflected thought far older, far deeper than humanity's. They were civilized, yes, but in ways that made the Imperium seem crude, hurried, and violent. The War Master's fleet approached the Interex worlds cautiously. Orbiting planets gleamed like jewels, their cities elegant, harmonious, and alien. No defensive fire, no imperial standard, only silent beauty. Yet within that perfection lay a subtle tension, a sense that even the slightest disturbance could unleash chaos. Horus turned to Erebus. We are emissaries of the Emperor. How do we ensure compliance without bloodshed? Erebus smiled, a shadow of menace in his gaze. Compliance is not always demanded by force. Sometimes it is guided by perception, by subtle persuasion, and sometimes by fear masked as diplomacy. The ships descended. Landing bays opened, revealing gleaming towers, delicate spires, and streets that reflected light like water. The Interex awaited, not as soldiers, but as sentinels of knowledge, guardians of a legacy that predated the Imperium. And they watched, always, their eyes hidden yet knowing. Captain Loken of the Luna Wolves whispered to Horus, "They are unlike anything we have faced, not weak, not naive. Their discipline, it is as if they see the very threads of destiny." Horus nodded. "Then we proceed carefully, but we proceed." The first emissaries of the Imperium walked among the Interex, armored warriors who had conquered countless worlds. They carried the weight of history, the authority of the Emperor, and the expectation of obedience. Yet on these streets, they felt small, tentative, as if the stones themselves observed them, judging their every step. The Interex spoke in voices that were soft, yet carried the clarity of thought and wisdom of centuries. They questioned, They guided, they probed. Horus listened, careful, knowing that a single misstep could turn curiosity into hostility. Yet in their eyes, he sensed a calm confidence, not arrogance, but a quiet knowledge of the universe beyond the Imperium's reach. And beneath it all, Erebus's whispers reached Horus once more. Trust, War Master, is a fragile weapon. Even loyalty can be bent with the right pressure. The days turned into tense discussions. Plans were laid, fleets observed, cultural customs respected. Yet all the while, Horus and his lieutenants felt the subtle weight of being evaluated, measured, and understood. The Interex were not conquerors, yet they were masters of their domain, aware of every shadow, every gesture, every unspoken thought. Horus grew uneasy. He was accustomed to obedience, to commands followed without question. Here, even his authority felt tentative, as if it existed on fragile ground. And yet, he could not turn away. The Imperium demanded compliance, not only of planets, but of civilizations that might shape the future of humanity. In a hidden chamber, the elders of the Interex gathered. Their eyes, ancient and piercing, met Horus's gaze. "You walk among us," they said, "but you carry the weight of a galaxy that does not understand us. Do you seek friendship or dominance?" Horus paused, a rare moment of uncertainty flickering across his features. "We seek alliance," he said carefully. "But the Emperor demands loyalty." The Interex regarded him in silence, and in that silence, a tension thicker than any armor arose. The War Master understood that here, obedience was not given lightly, and conquest would not come easily. And yet, there was a strange allure to this civilization, a promise of knowledge, of understanding, of truths hidden from the Imperium. Erebus's shadow lingered near Horus. "The galaxy is full of secrets, War Master," he murmured. "Some are meant to be discovered. Others are meant to be bent to will." As the day drew to a close, the emissaries returned to their ships, minds heavy with thought. The Interex had shown courtesy, intelligence, and discipline. Yet there was a subtle warning beneath every gesture, a challenge hidden in every word. Horus understood that this encounter would echo across time, shaping not only his campaign, but the path of humanity itself. And in the darkness, beyond the stars, where the fleets waited, the seeds of doubt and curiosity began to take root. For the first time, even the War Master felt the weight of uncertainty. And somewhere, in the silent void, the galaxy watched, patient and indifferent, as men and primarchs grappled with a civilization unlike any they had known. A civilization that might decide the fate of empires, without a single shot fired. The void of space whispered secrets to those who would listen, but few had the patience or the subtlety to understand. Among them, Erebus, the deceiver, moved unseen, observing every action, every word, every glance. He had planted seeds of ambition and doubt among the War Master's lieutenants. Yet here, in the presence of the Interex, he found something different, a civilization whose very being was a puzzle, a challenge to the Imperium's understanding. Horus Lupercal paced the deck of his flagship, eyes drawn to the alien world below. The Interex had accepted the Imperial emissaries, yet not fully. Every gesture carried a subtle weight, a reminder that compliance was not freely given here. And Horus, for all his power, felt the first flicker of doubt that no amount of loyalty or devotion could easily erase. The Imperium moves through the stars like a hammer, Erebus said quietly, standing behind him. The Interex, however, understand the blade before it strikes. They will not break easily. Horus's jaw tightened. He was accustomed to obedience, to loyalty unquestioned. Here, however, the rules were different. Civilization had grown untouched, perfected over millennia, unbent by conquest, unshaped by fear. Even the War Master could feel the subtle superiority in their calm observation. The first formal audience with the Interex elders took place in a chamber unlike any Horus had seen. Architecture flowed like liquid, impossible angles and curves defying the eye, yet perfectly harmonious. The elders were calm, elegant, their gestures precise and deliberate. Every word they spoke was layered, every statement a careful dance between truth and suggestion. "We do not fear the Imperium," one elder said, voice soft but resonant, carrying weight far beyond the sound. "We have watched, we have waited, and we have prepared. The stars themselves have taught us patience, and patience can outlast any sword." Horus regarded them, trying to mask the unease creeping into his heart. "We come as emissaries of the Emperor," he said carefully. "Our goal is not destruction, but alliance." The elder smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly. "Alliance requires understanding, War Master, and understanding requires time and attention to detail." In those words lay the unspoken truth. Compliance would not come easily. The Imperium was accustomed to obedience through fear, through power, through overwhelming force. The Interex were something else entirely. They were discipline and thought made manifest, a civilization built on intellect and foresight, unshaken by the might of the War Master's fleet. Over the following days, Imperial strategists walked the streets of Interex worlds, observing, learning, cataloging. The soldiers felt the weight of eyes upon them at every turn, a silent reminder that they were not masters here. And yet, the subtle hand of Erebus guided Horus, shaping perceptions, bending questions, planting the first whispers of doubt, curiosity, and ambition. One night, as the twin moons of the Interex world bathed the alien city in silver light, Erebus spoke again. "This is the testing ground, War Master. Not for their loyalty, but for yours. Every choice, every decision, every action will echo through time. Be careful where you step, for even the smallest miscalculation can undo an empire." Horus closed his eyes briefly, feeling the tension between duty and perception, between ambition and morality. He had faced countless enemies, conquered worlds, and quelled rebellions. Yet this civilization challenged something deeper, something that could not be overcome by strength alone. The Interex elders had one final challenge. They requested a demonstration, not of force, but of understanding. Horus was to walk among their scholars, their philosophers, their military tacticians, and answer questions about the Imperium's motives, its structure, and its purpose. Every answer was measured, every word scrutinized. Horus realized that here, the strength of armies meant little. What mattered was clarity, wisdom, and insight. And beneath it all, Erebus's voice reminded him quietly, even the strongest can falter when their certainty is challenged. Even the War Master is not immune. The encounter left Horus both impressed and unsettled. He understood that the Interex could not be conquered easily. Yet he also sensed the immense value in alliance. Knowledge, strategy, foresight, all gifts that could elevate the Imperium beyond its current reach. And somewhere in the shadows, Erebus's influence ensured that the War Master would ponder these gifts in ways that aligned with a future only he foresaw. When the emissaries departed the Interex world, the streets were empty once more, yet the impact remained. Every soldier, every captain, every strategist carried with them the memory of perfection, of a civilization that demanded more than obedience. They carried questions in their hearts, subtle doubts that might bloom into curiosity, ambition, or rebellion. Horus stood on the deck, looking back at the gleaming world. "They are remarkable," he said softly, "stronger in thought than most are in arms, perhaps too strong to bend easily." Erebus stepped beside him, voice a whisper that only the War Master could hear. "Strength is never simple, War Master. Power is not what you wield, but what you inspire. Remember that." And as the fleet departed, fading into the black of space, a sense of anticipation settled across the Imperium's forces. The Interex had survived first contact, yet they had left an indelible mark, a challenge, a promise, a warning. And in that quiet tension, the seeds of ambition, doubt, and potential heresy began to sprout, nurtured by the unseen hand of the deceiver. The galaxy watched, indifferent and eternal, as men and primarchs alike grappled with questions larger than war. Loyalty, obedience, and ambition intertwined in ways unseen, shaping destinies, altering paths, and writing a history that would one day burn across the stars. For in the shadow of perfection, even the War Master could learn doubt, and in that doubt lay the first whispers of change, the beginning of consequences that would ripple across the Imperium for ages to come.